So I wanted to, one of the stories, or there was a real inflection point in my life where I learned about creativity, and I grew up with the idea, like a lot of people, that creativity is just something that people who are artists are born with that, or people who are musicians are born with it. And I didn't have the creativity to me wasn't. I didn't really have an idea. It was this external thing that wasn't me, and it didn't apply to the work that I did. Early in my career, I did like accounting work, and I was like, that isn't a profession that anyone associates with creativity at all. And I read this book called The Artist's Way. It's a great book. Anybody read that book?
Yeah.
Well, and I used to, my dad went to the Citadel and the Naval Academy. So our household, God bless him, was very disciplined and very hard work, very hard work ethic, right? And then I used to think that concentration meant that you thought 100% about something, and that you did work and you efforted to get something, whether it was figuring out a math problem or coming up with an idea. And that's what I used to kind of have this idea that I had really terrible concentration. And from that book, The Artist's Way, I learned that, by doing, there's this exercise called morning pages, where you really tap into this sort of, and it creates a space where you do this stream of consciousness thinking. And you quickly learn, you get all these ideas that come up. And so it changed from all of a sudden I went from all these things that I thought were distractions, and the way I would process those distractions is I'd be like, oh, I can't concentrate. And so it produced this whole negative self-image that when I had these creative meteors, thought meteors going across my field, I would turn them into, I'm bad, I can't concentrate. And the great thing about that book is I started to listen to that. And all of a sudden I had access to all these ideas that I didn't have before. And I realized that in that moment, that creative flow, that's where a lot of the juice is. That's where my creativity was. And I went from self-image of I'm not creative to realizing that what I thought was distraction, my inability to concentrate, was actually my ability to generate ideas. And so that became all of a sudden a strength as opposed to this liability. And so that opened up. I can't think of any other point in my life where had a similar experience. That was a real epiphany for me. It really was. It had an impact. And so how many of you need to generate ideas? Or that's important to your business? Okay. What are some contexts where that's important?
Well, right now for me, generating ideas in terms of the content of what I'm going to facilitate is extremely important to me.
So it's core to what you're. It's core to. So this is a context where you're presenting to.
Exactly.
Where you're facilitating. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna make me money or not.
Right. And what about you?
Yeah, I definitely am at a point in my business where I have to be creative, and I would say part of the challenge is coming up with ideas, and then part of the challenge is not shooting them down or sort of getting stuck in the, oh, that's not good enough, or I don't know if that'll work. Because I'm going from turning a lot of one-on-one conversations where it doesn't feel like I'm inventing any material, I'm just riffing off what's happening in someone's life, into something I can present to a group where you actually have to stand there and say, I'm taking a stand about a specific thing, and here's the 5 points that have to do with it, and it's very different than what I normally do.
Right. So what if you had a technique which allowed you to generate ideas whenever you wanted, whether it's in front of an audience or in the morning when you're planning your material, where you had the ability to access ideas and be able to sort of hold space to evaluate them but not shoot them down, so that the time when you could sort of generate those ideas and deliver them was compressed to almost an instantaneous be something you'd be interested? That'd be something you're curious about?
I think so. I just want to make sure that I got the. It sounds really, really interesting, and I want to make sure that I got I get the idea. Like, so you're saying that I would have time to just brainstorm, basically, and capture ideas down, or you're saying that I could, like, the time that I had the idea to the time that it was implemented would be shortened?
I'm saying both.
Okay.
I'm saying your ability to access that sort of creative flow, you could turn it on when you wanted to, and you could be able to you could turn it on at any point in time, whether you're in front of a room, whether you're in the car on the way to work, whatever it is, you could just tap into those and pick out the best ones and be able to deliver right away. Whether it's a metaphor in the moment, whether it's in response to what someone's saying, that you could access that right away. Would that be valuable to you?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, I mean, I'm not saying I'm a creative genius. But as you consider, as you work through these concepts and go through this course and give yourself to it and you open to it, the possibilities of you becoming a creative genius and being able to having others perceive you as an expert, a creative expert, it's something that could drive tremendous value.